Hi, everybody. Welcome to another wonderful, beautiful, unique, special Wednesday, right?
Yes.
And today we have May 14th. Wow, we are progressing. Soon we are half year this year too, right?
Yes.
And we are the Cosmic Sis-Stars Show with beautiful Miss Karine Mooney and myself, Anne, Anula's Angel Place. And today we're going to talk about the Celestine Prophecy, Introduction plus Insight 1, Critical Mass. A spiritual awakening is occurring globally, noticing synchronicity. And we are so excited for this because this is a new series for us. There are 12 insights. So we are planning to stream these insights twice a month for the rest of the year. And I think we are going to come close to December because
Wow.
we're also going to finish off with a wonderful summary with all the insights, right? And the Celestine Prophecy is a series of books, actually, because in the beginning, I think there were 9 insights, and then he added, written by James Redfield, a very
Yes.
famous author, right? And very spiritual. And there's also a movie, and I'm going to share in the comment sections a little bit, not right now, but in a bit. Um, an old movie to look at. It's really interesting because even if it's an older concept, it's about energy, it's about synchronicity, it's about all those things that can bring us forward on the spiritual path, right? So it fits exquisitely into our lives today. It does,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And so join us every 2 weeks, and you can find upcoming and past episodes at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming dash past. Our last show here on Cosmic Guardians was last Wednesday, May 7th, and we talked about harmonizing positivity, the power of vibrations and frequencies. Energy. Everything is energy, isn't it? So
Hmm.
that was a great show, and you can find that at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming dash past, and you can find it on YouTube, um, and you can find it on Cosmic Guardians on Facebook. So I share links in a little bit, right? And of course, you can connect with us. You can find all of Karine's phone numbers and her website and everything, and me and articles and much more at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. And we do always go live at facebook.com/cosmic guardians and youtube.com/at angelplaceonearth/streams. Right?
Yes.
So let's dive into this brand new series of the Celestine Prophecy, and I'm so excited.
Well, I guess you've been watching me go, oh, 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 because this is something that is it it's coming to fruition again, and I'm excused with that word. Um, when James wrote about this, he was really ahead of his time. And there was a critical mass going on at that time. But we are now at another critical mass. I'm finding people that come to me for counsel are saying, I need to leave this job. This is not satisfying. I am not fulfilling myself here. I need to change this relationship. I need to change schools. The uneasiness. And this is what starts bringing us together for that critical mass. And the critical mass is like an explosion of change and it
It,
moves us
it
forward.
is an
Yeah,
explosion.
it is. And it takes us into the unknown, but we have expectation and we have anticipation. We don't know why, but we're being moved. And it's almost a cellular type of thing. And we observed this very scientifically in 1999 when the entire world was going through this. What's going to happen when the year changes to 2000? Are we going to die? And all of the entire world, for the first time in human history, the entire world at the same time was going through this critical mass. And they could measure it and found that this wasn't just an imagination. Even in science, you hear this all the time when you're putting chemicals together. And then when it
Yeah.
finally comes together, it makes the change. And
Yeah.
we're living it.
We are living it, and that is fantastic, to be honest with you. Um, it's a bliss, it's exciting, and sometimes also maybe, a little bit tiring, or some people get scared, fear, they don't recognize what's going on because, frankly, our world does not function in the way we have been seeing it growing up, right? It's totally
Exactly.
different.
Yes. Even the physical world, our physical world is changing. Uh,
Yes,
Coastlines are changing, atmosphere is changing. We are in an evolution, and the earth is in evolution, and it is moving us forward. Sometimes you get reluctant, you get stagnant, but then there is this yearning. What is out there? Where do I need to go? And in fact, you and I would not even be sitting here if many years ago your lovely friend Sue had this urgency to speak to the person that her car was parked next to. I had the sign of my company on the side of the car. And I come out to the car and she jumps out of her car and literally is running towards me. And I'm going, okay, do I run or do I fight? I mean, it was one of those. And it was so urgently that she had to speak to me. She said, "Do you belong to that car?" And I said, "Yes." "Well, I'm Sue and I have this radio show and I've got to have your information." Now, she was compelled to speak to me. That's the first insight. Is the
yes.
urgency. Now, the second is actually the actual speaking to me. But had she not done that many years ago, I would have never met you.
No, we wouldn't have met. And
No,
that is how beautifully synchronicity does work. And we need to have the courage to
yes,
follow. Now, again, that famous statement, following the flow.
exactly.
and
Exactly.
and things that are standing out, because many times when it's true and real and authentic synchronicity, something is going to stand out, take your attention
Yes,
for real. That's how you can separate that from when you just follow something else, right?
exactly. And I find that when there is a physical urgency, sometimes you just do things randomly. But when there is something coming in, it's almost like purposeful. And you just know that you need to get in the car and go to this particular place. And
Yes,
or you need to not go that direction. You start listening to a what we've been talking about a lot, that critical particle, that cosmic
yeah,
particle of being
yeah,
attached to something that is beyond us. Well, this is where those that information comes from. And when you start aligning yourself uh, to accept this, marvelous things happen. Marvelous
They
things.
do marvelous things, absolutely stunning things, right? And we have synchronicity basically all the time in our lives. It doesn't mean that we need to follow exactly everything,
Correct.
but when things are, you have this sense of something, it's an urge, it's coming from deep within,
Hmm.
or something is coming many, many, many times. For instance, because I am like I am, right? A little bit tenacious or
Uh-huh.
stubborn. And many years ago, I wanted only to work with light things, and that's natural, right? But we cannot actually progress on this journey unless we acknowledge the other side, because we live in a world of polarity, so we have both, right?
Yes.
And you need to
Yes.
know what it is.
Yes.
And I started to see information about soul realignment, right? And I hesitated because it felt for me like that's something that's going to even touch things that are not so pure, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to go that route, but it kept coming. And at the end, I said, okay, they have a free webinar. I'm signing up for it. I'm going to listen because it came not every day, but every week
Yes.
for months.
And we sometimes, being human, we need to be worn down a little bit, and that's okay. However, if it's something that's really going to help us on our journey, it will keep coming until we acknowledge it. And another thing is, sometimes you're in a situation where randomly you start speaking to a stranger, and maybe there is something in that conversation that they needed to hear to finish their journey. And it may not be anything really important, or it doesn't sound very important, but that's a missing piece that he needed to finish doing his thing. And being drawn to speak to someone uh, when you maybe normally wouldn't do that. So these are the way that the energy brings us into to synchronicity. And once you start allowing, and I use the word allowing, once you start allowing yourself to be in tune with that energy, many, many, many things open up.
Yeah, many things. And when we want to say something, exactly as you said, why not saying it? Because there's probably someone needing to hear that. And I've experienced so many times also people just say things and then they say, oh, did I say that? You don't need to be deeply spiritual to experience that, right?
No,
I didn't intend to say it, but I did. But it meant something either for me or someone else, right?
exactly. Because we are connected. And I
Yes,
stress this because when people think of the collective mind, I think a lot of people that have ever seen Star Trek go back to that, where they're like a hive. That's not what the collective mind is. We are uniquely individual and very important to the whole. We're not just drones that are just following the command. So there's a difference in being connected in a loving situation like that. And there again, maybe it's not a person, but perhaps you stop and you're listening to a bird sing, and
yeah,
while you're listening, you're looking at the bird and you're listening to it sing, and then you look and you see an old friend that you haven't seen in a while. Had you not
yeah,
taken that moment, like if Sue had not stopped and spoken to me, you and I would not be doing this show now. I mean, that is how
No,
important this is.
exactly. And I'm so happy that, I'm so grateful to Sue for being who she was.
Oh,
She's not
yes.
no longer with us since 2 years. But I know she's not here in the physical form, but I know she's on the other side.
Right.
And there's always a purpose with everything. And I know you came on the radio, and we wanted to have you back, but then something came along,
Along,
and
yeah.
I know that Sue withdrew a little bit. She didn't want to tell me in the beginning, I think. I knew something was wrong, but I'm never pushing people
Right.
if they don't want to talk by themselves, right?
Yes.
So, but here we are.
And there again, I happened to see your little podcast that you were putting out, and and I go, oh, I remember her. And then we started communicating, just typing back and forth. Now, I was able to do the radio show, but the idea of being on camera, um, I mean that I don't even like my picture taken, and so I, for some reason, the energy pushed me and said, "Oh, ask her if she wants to have you on the show one time." And I
Yeah.
think everybody kind of knows that between "Hello, how are you?" and the show starting, I'm now not only on for every 2 weeks, but I'm on every week. So there was something beyond ourselves. Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely. And synchronicities are absolutely beautiful. They can be, if I remember, I haven't seen the movie. I posted a link to the movie, by the way, on
Mhm.
both in the comment section on YouTube and on Facebook. And I remember from the movie that they show when things are kind of being lighted up, they stand out in some way, right? So you pay attention to that. That is energy. And that is
Yes.
also, follow that thing. And
Yes.
sometimes we may hesitate a little bit because it may be something unknown. We don't know exactly what it is, but we don't lose anything of trying out,
No.
right?
No. I was one of my students. Uh, we were going up to her house that's up in the mountains, and I had encouraged her to read the Celestine Prophecy, and so she's up in a uh, kind of a wooded area, and we wanted to go to another small town, but we would have to come back down to the bigger town and then go up to it. But she says, I know there's a way to get there just straight through the mountains. And I said, okay. Now I do not have a four-wheel drive. I just had a regular car. I said, well, let's try the Celestine Prophecy. So we're driving down this bumpy road, and we get to a fork in the road, and I go, no signs, right? Okay, which way do we go? Well, that way seems to be drawing us that way, and it kind of shines a little bit more. Let's go that way. And we drove all the way through the wilderness, and believe it or not, we came out where we were supposed to. So it really does work once you start feeling the vibrations. Is that a word we know? The frequency. Oh, I think we talked about those last week,
I,
didn't
I
we?
think I think we talked about that a lot, to be honest.
Yes, but it was
But
quite an
it is
adventure.
wonderful. Yeah. I'm going to also, because it's not, we talk about this, but it's not really our stuff from the beginning, but we both experienced. And my story is that when I chose 25 years ago, around the year 2000, to consciously start seeking deeper things, what's going on, right? I started off with the Celestine Prophecy.
Me
It's
too.
absolutely brilliant.
Yes,
You too, right?
me too. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, and I never even knew anything about it. It was my daughter that put it into my hands, and I'm going. However, it gets to you, that is the prophecy, because it will. The information will come to you, and if you are in that mindful consciousness, you'll go, okay, well, this is interesting. I may check this out. Maybe not today, but I will. And then pretty soon it falls in your lap again, and you finally realize that there's something going on. And
Yeah. And you know what? Something interesting. I put up a link to James Redfield's website as well, the 12 Insights, because since we started off 25 years ago, um, I think I was up to 10 insights, and then
yeah,
I didn't read the 11th and the 12th. It came after, right?
yeah, they
And
get a little heavier. Yeah,
yeah, he says, this is his word, James Redfield's word. Synchronicity is the entry point, the kickoff, the start, right? The measure of whether we are connected spiritually. These meaningful coincidences are tiny miracles steering us toward the good life. They are always seeking first to awaken us and then to allow us to be guided by spiritual connection to the unfolding of, our intended destiny.
exactly.
And destiny, you could say, what we are picking and choosing also, what we came here for, our purpose. Staying in a state of alert expectation concerning the major questions of our lives or the help we need increases the frequency of synchronistic answers if we are open to it, right? So we have
Mhm.
these answers and synchronicities all the time, all the time.
Yes, and I really feel that because when you connect to the higher consciousness, we already know that there's something more out there. It's just as this particular individual, I'm going to find it a different way than someone else. And so I
Yes.
have to start working on my mindfulness and my being alert and being first being authentic. I think that really helps when you start loving yourself enough to say, I am I am pretty important in the whole scheme of things. So I'm going to pay attention.
Yes. And, you know, because we are all unique, we all have our own way of doing things. That means that we have our own unique way of experiencing these things, even if it's a concept, right?
Yes.
It's a very general concept, but each one of us has to learn by ourselves because we can have people opening the doors for us to see and to start and to kick something off. But it's a
Yes.
journey we need to do ourselves, right?
Exactly. And we all walk the path, but we walk beside each other. I can't walk yours, you can't walk mine, but we can share an experience. And that's the beauty of having that kind of a connection. And what I love about really the purity of being in this state of mind is there is no competition.
No,
There is complementing. There is cooperation, there is community, but there's no competition. And I am thrilled when you have reached a peak of something that you had been wanting to do. And I know that you share in my joy when I do one of mine. But it's not I'm
yes,
better than, and that, believe me, people that takes off so much pressure. It just it really does, you know. I mean,
Yes, and many times, for instance, when we write our stuff about something, our take on something, we may come from different angles, but we're going to
always,
see it's the same thing, but we add to it because we see it from different perspectives. Here we go
yes,
again, perspectives, right?
exactly. And our minds work similarly but differently. And there's certain
Yeah,
things that highlight in your life, and there's certain things that are uh, intriguing in my life. And as I look through everything that we have written together, when it all comes together, it's very unique,
yeah, it is.
very individual, but very unique. You know, this is I get so excited when I watch the mastery of connecting to our souls and to
That
our consciousness.
exactly. And by the way, because you wrote something that's very intriguing, we may take it for granted and we don't think about it. When we come to critical mass, even a human birth could be considered a critical mass, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. When two cells get together, there's that explosion. And by the way, there is a spark. They actually have seen a spark when it ignites. So the critical mass, and then it starts becoming, and even through the 9 months, all the changes until birth is a critical mass. You have gone as far as you can go at that particular point. Now you've got to come and move forward. And I think that's what the energy does. It allows us to kind of get comfortable where we are, and then it says, okay, you got to have another growth spurt. You got to, change your hair. You got to do this. And we're encouraged. And sometimes it's fun and games, and other times it's like, yeah, you can't make me do that. And then you keep getting a nudge and keep the nudge, and well, that doesn't seem so bad. And finally you go, yeah, woo, what a great idea.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned something else as well, and I like that because it's actually something that is occurring right now. As a human race, we are at a critical mass point
Very much so.
for the very existence of our human evolution. That's interesting, right?
Yes. And I go back to Greg Braden and many other people. He just happens to be a person that I spearheads. Literally, we are at a cusp of being pure human or going into where they start putting things in our brains so we don't have to finger our telephones and cell phones, excuse me, ancient word, but changing us genetically.
Yeah,
However, when this happens, when we give up our human divinity, we start thinking more critical instead of empathetically. When we give up empathy and sympathy and compassion and understanding and that feeling of helping someone even though you may be putting yourself at risk, that selflessness, these are going to be erased from the Homo sapien. So we really need to look into these things because there are plans, there are laws that are being made to gradually introduce these things. This is not fiction. And I invite everybody to do your own research. Don't just take my word for it, but research it. Because this is why right now critical mass is really getting amped up. Everybody I speak
yeah,
to is uneasy. They don't know what's happening. They feel like there's more. And do your homework. Look into it.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And Greg Braden has written a book, Pure Human, right?
Yes.
Because we have our humanness and our human divinity. It's unique for us.
Yeah.
And
and
nothing can replace that.
and you I mean the scientific world is very blunt. They'll say literally by the year 2035 we're going to have eliminated that, or we're going to have at this. So I mean it's not like 12 years in the future, 100 years in the future, or the sun is going to stop burning in a million thousand years. It's now.
Yeah.
Pay attention now. Pay
Yeah,
attention.
it is now. And also the concept of us being in a stage matrix, right? And reaching outside of that for
Yes.
real connections.
Yes.
Because if it's stage, it's programmed, right?
Exactly.
So does one do that going in here through the heart?
Well, there's two ladies that sit around talking every Wednesday, and they kind of talk about things like authenticity, self love, and things like that. Now they're throwing in things like energy and frequencies. Um, Perhaps we have all the gifts that we need, and the most important gift is the human potential. We haven't even become what we're capable of. And I think that's what people fear, because we're going to surpass anything that they can do in a lab if they allow us to keep reaching it. And many, many, many wonderful people are giving us tools to become our greatest potential. And but it takes putting down the cell phone and picking up information that is going to be healing.
Exactly, you know. And also, there's a great discussion going on about our human consciousness, right?
Mhm.
And if we disconnect from our consciousness, it brings us further away from our divine evolution, because
Ex-
that cannot be
yes.
redone, right?
Yes, and all of the good reasons that they do the science is, well, you're going to have a stronger body, you're going to think faster, and so forth. However, Joe Braden, I mean, Joe Dispenza, who I keep, these guys are just kind of intermingled here, but he has done so much scientific research proving proving that people that have been blind for many, many, many years, when they are allow themselves to connect to the higher consciousness, to the field beyond
Yes,
us, literally have sight. Cancers, all kinds of ailments, even cerebral palsy, even things like this can be realigned if we learn to make that connection. And he's giving us ways of going into deep meditation and other ways of making that connection. But it takes the willingness to do it.
yes,
Hopefully, the synchronicity is going to lead you to, hey, there needs to be a change, but it needs to be my change. I need to
yes,
work on it. Yeah.
yeah. And many people, because it's not all these things we are talking about, it's not things that we are really taught deeply on
Never.
at a deep level. So it feels like a territory that I can't really grasp it. Most people are curious, about the unknown, because there's a label on this, unknown,
Yes.
right? Um, but we can discover it. We can tap into it. And I think because we are talking about the Celestine Prophecy right now, take it step by step. Start to notice synchronicities, which some of us actually label as miracles, things
Yes.
out of the ordinary, like when you had Sue running up to you.
I swear, if we had put that on one of these TikTok things, nobody would have believed it. But it was. But I'm tenacious enough to hold my ground and see what's going to happen. And it was it was such a gift. And after I got in the car and I'm saying to myself, in fact, I called my daughter and I said, "You'll never believe what happened to me in the parking lot of Target." I said, "This woman literally accosted me, told me that I was this important person that she wanted to interview on the radio." And my daughter very calmly said, "Well, yeah, I mean, that wasn't news to her." but but being aware, mindful awareness, and you've said this in many things, with the meditation and quieting the mind and staying observant. But when you're in a quiet place, even in the hustle and bustle that's going on, that's when you see the signs, you know? And
Exactly.
yeah,
We can notice anything, anytime. And when we are open to it, synchronicity and miracles and out of the ordinary experiences, they increase. That
yes,
is the beauty of it, because we are opening up. And my take is that is the field bringing it down to us, because we have maybe not connected fully, but we have made one little cloth of connection, right?
yes. I mean, everything that I have written, and I know the same with you. Yes, it comes from experience, it comes from knowledge to a certain degree. But when the words appear on the paper, it is completely intuition and inspiration in spirit. We are connected to the field, and the words appear on the paper, and they appear exactly as they need to appear with no edit. And I love this. Forever I've been doing automatic writing, and I thought everybody did it. It's like last week when I was showing everybody the forks and things that I bent during the meditation class, and I said, yeah, and I here are some that I did, and I laid them back down, and one of my students said, he started laughing, and he says, "You just casually mentioned that like that's what you do every Friday night is, well, I'm not going to go to a movie. I'm going to sit here and bend a fork." And but when you start living it, it becomes synchronicity.
Normal, natural.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Doesn't everybody sit around bending forks on a Friday night?
I I never tried that, but I'm impressed.
Ah,
And you are so right. But it's again, it's an advanced way of focusing energy,
yes.
right?
Yes. And yet, before we had all of human technology, we used that technology. Uh, we used frequency to heal, and we were talking about that last week. But even the bells in the bell towers were designed to have a frequency that was going to heal. They even rang those when there was a storm, and it would help settle the atmosphere. We have everything available to us, we have been carefully taught that it didn't matter, that it was voodoo, that it was weird, that only the old lady living on the hill did those things. But that is the
And
reality.
yes, and if you can't touch it, taste or smell it, or touch it, right? It's
Yes.
not real. But that's not true. There are so
And
many things that we take for granted. Electricity, can we touch it or see it? No, it works.
yes, or
Wi-Fi,
what we're doing
internet,
right now. Where is this coming from?
exactly.
I don't know the technology of it, but I know that you're there and I'm here. Well, I think I do. Uh, but we have beyond touch and taste and everything else. We have forgotten, and we have names for just your body knows where it is in accordance to this. I'm not going to go and hit that lamp because I sense that it's there. Or I go into a room and there's danger and I get prickly feelings that I shouldn't go in there. We forget to honor those gifts that we have because in those times we are connected to the consciousness, to the field, and the field is saying, "Hey, baby, wake up," you know, and it's just I get very excited when I'm trying to express this to people because when you live in that connection, uh, there is just it's awesome. It well, bigger word than that. Come up, you're the word person.
Okay. It feels like living a miracle every day. It's wonderful.
Perfect, perfect, and yeah,
Thank you.
yes,
And
and
we have, yeah, go ahead.
no,
Sorry,
no,
I'm
I
getting
wasn't.
so eager.
I'm just agreeing. Yeah.
Okay. So there is science behind synchronicity, you could say. For instance, Carl Jung, he had a concept of synchronicity. And you can Google that up, right?
Yes.
Quantum physics and the unified field, as you said, right?
Mhm.
Psychological factors, because our minds are wired to recognize patterns. We have a lot of abilities that we may have been taught are supposed to be used in a certain way that can be
Yeah.
used in many other ways, right?
Yes.
So when we set an intention or focus on a question, our subconscious may increase awareness of relevant external signals. That is the scientific thing, right?
Yes.
Creating the impression of synchronistic events, but not only creating impression, for me, that is real, it's happening.
That's right. And we were talking about the cosmic particles bouncing in and hitting each other, and that's all part of it. Everything that we're talking about is all the same thing, just working at a little different direction. It's like anything that you may have has a lot of moving parts, and each moving part is there to move it to the next stage. And we have so many beautiful ways to reconnect. The biggest thing is to remember that you can connect. Know that
Exactly.
you
And
are valuable. Yes.
think about it as a chain. Something comes here, and we very rarely have the whole picture from the beginning. Maybe we have a vision of a goal, right? But following the first part of that chain will lead to the next part of the chain, which
Exactly.
leads to the next one, and so on.
Yes.
So having um, the trust and the courage to follow through, because it is amazing. We are experiencing synchronicities and miracles. For me, I expressed it for many years as miracles, and it's still miracles. It
Yes.
happens.
Yeah.
guys. It does happen.
And what is a miracle but something that is happening out of the ordinary? And
Exactly.
we forget to honor them. We forget to express gratitude for a seed coming from this hard shell that it has been staying in sometimes for hundreds of years. And you give it the
Yeah.
right environment and it comes back to life. Is that not a miracle? We take so
That
much
is a miracle.
for granted. And then because we have been taught that we do not have the ability to teleconnect with a person or to uh, transport from place to place, and yet it has been proven that that is a reality and is a possibility. Remote viewing, where they can literally be in a place, tell you everything that's there, and be telling the person back here what they're seeing and what they're doing. So
Yeah.
we are these incredible beings. It's just we've
We
been
are.
carefully taught that, good girls and boys don't do that. That's your imaginary friend. Da, 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 you know.
Exactly. No, how to recognize synchronistic moments. And we talked about this, but it's nice to repeat, right?
Yes,
So recognizing synchronicity, synchronicity requires cultivating a heightened state of awareness. And that's basically just another way of expressing it, right? Paying
yes.
attention, being in the now. Some ways of doing that is to pay attention to reoccurring symbols and messages. And I remember in the early days, no, I wasn't covered by numbers, but they were literally showering me. And I took notes of them because I saw 1111,
Yes,
111, 222, 555 all the time. And I couldn't, you know, it went to the point where I said, I can't write it down all the time. It's not possible. So
exactly.
many times it's not always one specific message. So don't only think that it's that particular thing. Pay attention to what else is going on or what's going to come
Yes,
a few hours later, a few days later, maybe in that
yes,
time frame period, because that's going to bring a bigger message. Because for me, those numbers, they were like, okay, hey, we are training you, pay attention,
exactly.
right?
And when you're a little tenacious and stubborn, sometimes it takes a little bit more. We have to kind of get whammed against. But I have found something that does help me kind of go, okay, was this coincidence or synchronicity? And when maybe I hear something and then later I happen to see the same thing, and then maybe 2 weeks later somebody happens to mention it in conversation, and I go, the magic three. Okay, three times this has come into my peripheral. And so I'm going, okay, well, the next time that I see or hear this, I'm going to pay attention. So sometimes it works like that, where it just takes enough, hello, hello, are you home? And
Exactly.
yes, and I
Yeah,
also the numbers. I mean, when like 444 is supposed to be a frequency when the angels speak, and that's when you can really hear them. And when I do automatic writing, I swear I don't even have to look at the clock. I know it's 4:44 in the morning. And and I keep saying, well, 5:55 would work. Or we could have another number, but 4:44 a.m. is when I don't get it in the afternoon. I only get it in the morning when it's quiet. And
Fantastic.
I have written more classes and more information at 4:44 in the morning. And so when it happens, I go, okay, guys, what do you want? Take your pen, start writing. But it's
And,
great.
and you are expressing something else with what you say because you trust your intuition, right? You follow and you listen to it.
Yes,
And that is one other thing to recognize synchronistic moments, right?
yes,
And unexpected encounters, coming back to Sue again. Yeah.
yes. Oh,
And
yes,
that was extremely out of the ordinary, right?
yes,
Also, reflecting on life patterns, reviewing past experiences may actually reveal series of synchronistic events. So, I always advise people to have a little notebook or something, or you can make voice messages for yourself on your phone, whatever works
this
for
works
you.
also.
Yes, because we don't need to write novels from the beginning. Just
No,
the time, maybe the date, um, what occurred, and then when we go back, we can see a beautiful pattern,
yes.
a
Uh,
beautiful pattern.
before I knew that I was being groomed to do something else, just walking through life, walking through the matrix, minding my own business. And I would find that this automatic writing would happen. And I have written on napkins in restaurants. I have written on paper towels. I have written on, you know, a piece of material that I had. And then finally I go, why don't I just take a pen and pencil with me? And now I do. But when they come, you need to write them down. And now that I'm doing a lot of house cleaning and going through boxes of things that I had written in just maybe 3 or 4 pages, maybe just a half a paragraph, and I'll read them and I go, I really need to meet that person because that's some good stuff. And that's literally the truth, because they're giving me the information and it's coming from my experiences, yes, but it's coming from a higher place, and staying in that connection is what's so beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And synchronicity also plays a great role in our spiritual awakening
Oh,
because we get
absolutely.
intrigued. When things happen, we get so intrigued, we want more, we want to learn what's going on here, right?
Yes,
And
yes,
wonderful ways to cultivate more synchronicity is meditation and mindfulness. And you said this already, but I'm repeating.
absolutely.
Um, Quieting our being with hearing ourselves probably rather than hearing everything that's noisy on the outside,
Yes,
having clear intentions. And sometimes, or a lot of the time, to be honest, to be frank, people say, I don't really know what I want. I want this and this and this and this and this. But if you listen to yourself, you can narrow that down. What if you could pick and choose right now, freely, doing whatever you wanted, what would you do? That's one thing.
yes,
Setting clear intentions, living in a state of gratitude, because even if we are walking on this earth, which sometimes feel like walking in a ditch filled with mud, there are so many blessings each and every day,
yes,
some small, some huge, right? And anything in between. But there's always something, even if it's just a stain one day, it's always something to be grateful for. It is. Follow your intuition as well. Follow through, not only hearing it, but it doesn't mean that we don't need to feel bad if we say, okay, I hear that, I see that. Mm, Not today.
uh-huh,
That's okay too, because we have free will. Otherwise, we wouldn't have free will, right? And I'm one of those actually. And I say, I hear it, but not right now. Okay.
Yes. And
And stay present and observant. Just being aware, being here. What's going on here?
yes, being in the now. And every Tuesday night, I have an open heart meditation at my center here in Mesa. And one of the things that I really share, especially with new people, is yes, they're going to have an experience that's uniquely theirs because when they come here, they don't really have to do anything. I open the energy and I hold the energy so they can be in it without basically having to work at it. And I often say, okay, we're going to go on vacay, because I'll carry the luggage and I'll hold the doors open for you. All you have to do is just enjoy. But the beauty is, and this is mathematically proved again. Thank you, Greg Braden, scientist before he was into metaphysics. Um, for every heart that holds this mindful meditation, it affects over 1,000 other souls. Literally, as the 10 of us are sitting here enjoying our bliss, our participation is affecting 10,000 souls that are around this area.
Yeah.
This is how valuable we are. This is how important we are. We need to stay that beautiful human and to stay in that mindful connection.
And, it shows also the great power we have
Mhm.
that we shouldn't give away, that we should claim. This is my
Exactly.
power. I'm entitled to my power, right?
Yes. And we have so much that we haven't even tapped on. And I love the way that you have all of this, with the mindfulness and the clear intentions. That is really really tough because so many times we really do not know what the dickens we want. And I remember after when my husband said he was separating, I woke up the next morning and I go, I can do anything that I want to do today. I wasn't on someone else's schedule. I didn't know what to do with myself because I had never done that. Practice. What do you really want? Okay, you want this. Well, narrow it down. Find out what it really is that you want. And the gratitude. We cannot say enough about that. Because when
No.
you open that space in your heart for gratitude, you immediately connect to the consciousness, to the field, to what is greater than us. And so this is beautiful.
It is beautiful. And, it is a very deeply personal journey because we are unique. We are all different, and we should be so grateful for that too. Now, one thing to be grateful for,
Yes,
the power of I can pick and choose, and even if every event that's going on in the physical world is not in my hands, I still have my response,
yes,
right? It
and
makes one feel so greatly powerful.
yes, and I think one of the greatest gifts that we have of choice is choosing how we perceive something
Yeah.
and choosing the words that we're going to describe it. You may be in a very uncomfortable situation, and but if you take that moment to really be mindful of what you're saying and find a way to express yourself in a way that everybody is going to be enriched. This is, I have a student that's working with me, and I said, the lessons that you are learning now, and you're going to be given opportunities to, when you are facing a situation that you would just say, oh, I'm going to go, to think and find another way of uplifting everybody around, and still being true to yourself, but still finding a way, and discernment, learning how to use the words. And I said, you're at this point in your evolution where discernment is going to be given to you quite a bit for you to practice. And this,
Exactly.
yeah. So how you view the situation that you're going through. Um, oh, I cut too much material off of that, and it's going to look terrible. Well, what if I do this and make it look different? Finding a different solution without going, ah, you know. So
Yeah. And another way of expressing that is with my words, take a step back,
exactly.
observe. Don't rush into anything feeling anxiety or stressed or I need to fix this now. No. Take a little bit of time, breathe, observe, and that's when you're going to see things reveal themselves, meaning that we don't need
Yeah.
to work hard for things all the time. We don't.
In the dark ages when I was growing up, they used to tell a child, count to 10 before you say anything. And literally, when you do that, we're doing that, slowing down, taking a breath, getting our thoughts together and not just coming at it, boom, boom, boom. And so, I mean, we could really wear a sign: before you speak, count to 10. That might be a way of reminding
That's
people.
smart, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Not reacting, but they say something. I like the saying, but I don't remember how they say it. Um,
Respond,
Respond
not react. Yes.
instead of reacting. Yes.
Yes. And you find that a lot of times, because I am literally always in connection with my higher self, and I may be in mid sentence, and all of my students know this, because I'll be saying something and then all of a sudden I'll just stop, and they know that I'm having a communication here, and then a lot of times I'll say, well, give me a different word. It's like, hurry up, I need another word, and I will pause, because I am having not literally a conversation with unseen beings. I'm literally talking to the oneness. And there has got to be a better way that I can express this. And I pause, and I didn't realize how many times I do that until I had one of my students say, "Oh, you're getting the information," and I go, "Oh, I guess I do that quite a bit, but that it doesn't hurt anything to pause and regroup."
Exactly. And sometimes that is what we need, not only rush like a train forward, jumping with both feet into something and then feeling confused. Uh,
Exactly.
many times thinking, why did I do that? I didn't reflect. I didn't, I just went with it.
Yes, and I tell you, it's a lot easier to make that pause than it is to go, "Oh, how can I retract what I just did?" Um, I would rather I would rather look a little like I don't know what I'm thinking about for a few moments, until I say something that I cannot retract, because energy is energy, and once spoken, it it's going to have to be resolved, because if you use the words that are going to cause irritation and aggravation, rather than, compassion, uh, you know, it's uh, it's going to be harder to retract it.
Yes, it is. And sometimes, maybe we need to be fast, but not all the time, right?
That's right. Yeah, but yeah, it's really interesting to take that moment.
It is interesting. And, journaling a little bit what's going on in one's life, because that's going to bring a lot of insights and clues. And you see things that you didn't really maybe saw at that time. Because also getting messages or it's not like you and I are talking now. It comes in parts and bits sometimes.
Yes,
And many times also synchronicity may be just that knock on the shoulder, having a heads up. Uh, excuse me just for 1 second, okay?
yes.
Keep talking, please, Kareem. Keep talking.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
sure.
okay. You're multitasking. Okay. Yes. Well, when you allow yourself to come together and find a way to stay in that connection, it allows you really to be more authentic in what you're saying. It really allows you to take on a whole incredible persona that you may not have even known that you were capable of. And it's fun. It really is, because it gives you an opportunity to see things that you would have never seen before, and be in places that you were never capable of being. So
Thank
anyway, and
you.
and she appears. Hey, listen.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for that. We had some guests here and I had to just say goodbye. I thought I was going to be able to talk to them a little bit later, but they went. So
Okay. Well, like I said, what can I say? Life happens, and and we just go with the flow. There's that go with the flow again.
exactly, things happen. It's no big thing. We actually this life have given me a lot of opportunities, both to meet a lot of people. I work with a lot of people. I met so many thousands of people in my life, tens of
Yes.
thousands probably. And doing readings, but also in ordinary situations, right, in life. And I also worked at a place where we managed every trouble that comes in with trains, right? So you have to go
Ooh,
from 0 to 500 kilometers an hour.
yeah.
When you're sitting and relaxing and something happens and you needed to resolve it 5 minutes ago.
Yesterday, yeah.
Yeah. So, but I see all of those things as blessings. It taught me a lot.
Yes. But that is the resilience of the human being. That is was going to make us different than robots, because robots are programmed, and they go, okay, well, this situation I do that, this situation I do that, this situation I do that. But what about the in between situations?
Yeah.
That that's uniquely human,
Yeah,
and
it is.
you know we need to
Because
we need to relish
we
that.
are we are creative and we can, with a little bit of experience, life experience, we can manage things, we can manage situations, we can step outside of the program,
Exactly.
right?
And yes, and the only way that things can be created is to occasionally step out of the program and be
Yeah.
able to see things from a different perspective, and then that way it gives you an opportunity to again become a teacher. We're all learning and all teaching, and this is the beauty of living connected to the oneness. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And to the field,
absolutely, absolutely.
to the
And I
field, the field that is outside of this
exactly,
reality.
and I must admit that uh, I have many more opportunities to become more and more and more connected, and I do enjoy the randomness of being human. And so sometimes instead of really paying more attention to constantly being in that field, I'll slip out and I'll play in the human world for a little while. And then I'll go, oh no, I need to do something. So I'll slip back into the other. But one of these days, I will. I will be able to bend those forks with my mind by myself.
Exactly, you will.
You know?
You will. Because everything is possible. And quantum physics says that nothing is solid.
Yep.
And if we look in a microscope, nothing is solid.
Nope.
But we feel like it because the particles are so small, right?
Because we have envisioned it. Interestingly, if you really want to get into really where they start watching the particles, when somebody is watching the particles and they're splitting this way, they'll split that way. When another person is watching the same particles and they don't split, they go this way, they'll go that way. The observer, as the observer, we have so much influence over life. And right now, you and I are choosing that we are having the same reality. We're choosing that we're sitting here, we're doing this. I mean, we could really get, we could go far off the track here, but it's fascinating, and we are those particles. Never
Yes,
forget the beauty of who we are.
exactly.
Yes,
Never ever forget that, right?
absolutely. So, I mean, we could go on
So,
forever, but I'm thinking that it is time to and leave people with thoughts.
exactly. Something to reflect on, right? Good,
Exactly.
a good
Yes.
one. So, thank you everybody for watching this premiere and news kickoff for a new series with the Celestine Prophecy with Cosmic Sisters, Corinne and Anne. And today we have been talking a little bit about the introduction. Insight one, a critical mass, a spiritual awakening is occurring globally, noticing synchronicity, which is so important, right?
Mhm.
And you can find all past episodes and upcoming at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming dash past. Our next upcoming show here with Cosmic Sisters is going to be next Wednesday, and we will talk about personality, integrity, authenticity, the triad of self-discovery. Isn't that a bliss, right?
Ah,
And our new series, this series with the Celestine Prophecy, is a 12-part series. So we intend to stream with you live twice a month. And we are going to come to the sometime end of November, beginning of December before we are ready, because we are ending off with a summary at the end of all 12 insights. And we are so thrilled and happy to do this with you because it is interesting. And the Celestine Prophecy was written by James Redfield. I don't actually remember when the book came, but it was 1900 sometime, right?
1989, I think was,
1989. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
yeah.
And you can join us every 2 weeks, twice a month, on this journey with the Celestine Prophecy. But we are on every single Wednesday at the same time. Can you join us? You're always welcome to watch the replay. And we go live at Angel Place on Earth. No, sorry, Facebook.com/Cosmic Guardians and youtube.com/at Angel Place on Earth/streams. Every Wednesday, you can watch us live there and you can interact with us. Please don't be shy. We take your questions if you have any, right?
Mhm.
And I say thank you for watching us tonight, today, this morning, wherever you are on the globe. And I say love, light, peace, and joy to all of you.
Yes. Love, light, peace, joy, and laughter. Laughter.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye.